All right, all right. Good evening. Welcome to our weekly podcast. It is Thursday. It is the 21st of May, and May is time flying. It is still bone dry in Belize City. The mangoes are hanging. Some are falling prematurely, but all is awaiting this long anticipated guana rain that will ripe up everything and get everything, the cashew, mango, cashew soon, crabble, the maplum came through already. So it is fruit season in the country of Belize. We had the mamas out there, the custard apples came and left. So everybody is enjoying, because you know the season not lasts forever. It's a uh, dry season in the rainy season as far as fruits are concerned. Nevertheless, we are here with you every week and we make our pledge. We have no sacred cows, no scapegoats, no agendas, political, personal, religious, otherwise. We no fear or favor. We address the issues full frontal. I am G. Michael Reed. I am the chairman, and that is de facto until they're ready to pro tem, actually. De facto now and pro tem. So when the congregation is ready for a new preacher, they will let their voices be heard. We do this under the patronage of the Sea Smoke production in New York City, headed by the producer CY Clinton Young. We have a four-wheel vehicle running here. I do the steering most of the time, so I'm the steering wheel on the driver's side. Then we have private citizen Jeremy Spooner, the representative of the white Caucasian race. He makes no apologies for that. He does try to convince us that he's not a Trumpster, he's not racist. Well, I don't know how much he tries to convince about not being a Trumpster, because he's, from the conversations, there's a deep suspicion to that effect. We're usually joined by Joe Jose Coe, former minister, former mayor, former politician, but now a businessman, a certified accountant. He has a lot of insight into money matters and how things are run, how the country is supposed to be governed. And we try to pick his brain on a regular basis and see how we can get his input on some of these relevant matters. Hailing from Los Angeles, uh, comes in usually a little tardy, trying to get out of that evening traffic, in particular when the time changes, like it has to the daylight saving time, when the West Coast goes behind 1 hour and the East Coast goes forward 2 hours. So the West Coast now is not what used to be 6 o'clock now. Nowadays 5 o'clock now. So our show starts an hour earlier during this time. We in Belize don't change time, and we on the evening, the Belizean Awakening show, we do not change time either. We stick with our 7 to 9 format, and everybody else make the adjustments. We are again heading out of the dry season in Belize and into the rainy season. It's been clouding up, and I was watching the weather report briefly, and I saw one day that showed lots of clouds and looks like rain. We're desperate for it. Though when it comes, it usually comes in deluge. We're not looking forward to that at all. We're hopeful that we'll get a moderate amount, enough to wet the grass, let the fruits ripen well, and just make all the crops grow. We are looking at a couple of stories that we're going to be covering this evening, and I tempted to wait until our other hosts come in, but of course these guys don't work on the clock. They're not salaried, so we're not. They're not demanded to be here. We try to be here every week because we'd like to keep this consistent and keep you instructed, entertained, informed. I saw that the mayoral race for Belize City is heating up, and we have the media, Channel 7 in particular, gave Elud Miller quite a lot of time, and he made good use of it. He represented himself ably. I would hope that they would maybe next week sometime, maybe tomorrow, give Mr. Pollard, the next candidate, equal time, and let us see how he expresses himself, how his take on some of these issues that are happening out there. Um, and here's Jose. Jose,
Present.
greetings, sir. Good to have you on. Usually, the private citizens beach the podium, but they look like he's tired of the season. I don't know if his internet is working because the internet has been messing up. Now, you're a man who knows a bit about the runnings for and off Belize City Council, having served as mayor. How many terms?
But I served as 3 terms at the time because it was 3 years still is as a city councillor. And then, of course, after that 3 terms, which is 9 years, 4 of those years, the last 4 years, were as mayor.
Okay. We see that Elud Miller was on the news. I don't know if you saw him. Seems to represent himself pretty well. He is the man that he's under a little bit of fire because he's the current mayor's son-in-law, and there are people who were suggesting that maybe it's kind of improper for the mayor to endorse him, given the familial relationship. No, um, you got any concern? Oh, here you go. We got full house. All four wheels of the chair set on the ground, and we're
Good
ready to
evening,
take off.
gentlemen.
Good evening, Gregory. Good evening, Private Citizen Spooner.
Good evening, everybody.
Wonderful.
Sorry I'm late. I was on my boat fixing a part, no?
Too much
So,
information. We don't want to know about no boat. I mean, I had to try catch and ride on the bus, and you got boat over there. See, on fairness of life, but
I
man,
work hard for what I got, you know. I don't know
my
nickel
boss,
time like how you
why
nickel
spine
time.
to stop you inherit all of that your power hard and left you a humble.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But
I reach a lot.
in attempting to answer your question, Mr. Chairman,
yes, before we
regarding,
were rudely interrupted.
regarding
Yes.
the endorsement of Elud by his father-in-law,
Yeah.
the mayor of the city, evidently, when it comes to family members, it's extremely difficult to be non-partisan. That's the reality of the human being. In this particular case, I think his endorsement of him does not in any way compromise his
I,
integrity.
I have I have to go out and come back in. I think I'm getting a little bit of a distortion.
Well, we're wait, Pioneer, don't worry about it.
Uh,
The
Okay.
I want to say that before we go anywhere, um, we have a lady that's supposed to be coming on and joining us for a while. She's the face of football in Esperanza Village. She's been involved in a lot of our activities in the park. She works with a lot of children and kids out there in that rural community. So when they come in, I want to shift over and talk to her for a while now, if she's able to make it in. I don't know how the internet connection is working there and how that's going to work out, but we'll try it. Now, Joe, how do you respond to somebody who says justice doesn't only have to be done, but has to seem to be done? And that maybe in a case like this, it's not seeming to be done if the mayor, who certainly would have an influence on the whole process, is then basically endorsing his son-in-law.
yeah, but yes, he is the mayor, and one would assume that he may have some influence in getting people to vote for who he endorses. But if we look at politics in Belize City, particularly where I did, I said 9 years at the subnational level, at the city council level.
Mhm.
I think it is very important for what kind of presentation is to be made by, especially now where the mayor is elected by popular vote, unlike before. So I think the mayor coming forward to contest, firstly at the primary, as to who will represent the People's United Party. I think the platform that he comes with, the policy positions, I think are very important. And so whereas endorsement would seems to be giving him some edge, I don't necessarily believe it will.
Well, we'll have to see how the next candidate come up. Jeremy, you got any
That's
thoughts
right.
on that?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I came in late now.
All right.
Who are
No,
you talking about?
we're talking about the mayoral race, and
Okay, yes.
Eliud Miller, the son-in-law of the mayor, was endorsed by the mayor. And some people are thinking that, well, maybe now we got two of you, Greg. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you must have left the other one on. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Spooner. Whether it's small case and nepotism, or if it's above board and legal.
Yeah, well, it seems to be in all the parties too. UDP, with Shine and Finnegan and Dean Barrow, and then you have the PUP with there's family members in there too. It seems to be a natural progression of how things are, no?
Well, politics
Well,
So
always seem to be a business of family business.
yes, it is. Yeah, yeah.
We always seem to get a class of people that think that it's their destiny to rule others. So,
my problem with that though is that pointing it out does not give us any insight on how you feel about it. I mean, yes, it happens, and we know it.
yeah,
It has been happening for some time.
yeah,
Even the Venerable Judge Price, he had some of his people come in.
yeah.
So
I
I
don't have
don't.
a problem.
I wish
I
it
don't have a
wasn't
problem.
so, G Mike. I wish it wasn't so, but Belize is small,
No, but
so
I believe that
I don't have I don't
what
have
is
a problem with. Go ahead, Mr. Curry.
what is extremely important, and this is my perspective of it, it's not whether it was being done before by George Price or whether it been done before by Joe Coy or whoever it is. We have to benchmark these things against what we believe are the ethical standards for us. And we can't be benchmarking them against what somebody else may have done.
But that was basically my point. So we have to look at it as the right and wrong of it, as
That's right.
opposed to whether it is or isn't. We know it is, and as Jeremy said, you would wish that it wasn't. How do we just continue to accept it and go along with it, or do we maybe at some point stand up and say, well, we need to change this at some point?
Well,
But then,
the truth about it is that people get elected in a democracy based on the popularity and the willingness of people to vote for them. They don't just put themselves there. That you could nominate or enjoy one of your family member to participate is not an issue for me. Is the system itself fair and open enough so that anyone can get in, at least at the gate. How it ends up in terms of election, we see that with the Musa's family. We see that with the like you said with the Barrow family, and so it is natural in a sort of a way that it happens, but there's nothing against it particularly if the people are good and are qualified and we elect them and they serve the country in a good way. So I don't have a problem with the fact that they're family members that's doing it. Will the other people have a fair chance, or will the mayor do something that gives his son-in-law an undue advantage over the other contestants? Will they have a nomination process, or will he just appoint him king, to succeed him?
but
That is the
can
issue
I
I
come
have.
back in again? I kind of hope I'm not pushing back these issues, but I feel strong about some issues. What I'm getting at is that we have ethical standards in every society. In Belize, there are 4 professions that are being regulated by law. That is the engineering profession, law, medicine, and accounting. And they are regulated, but in the regulation, there are ethical standards that we must abide by, all of us. Now, in politics, which is a calling, a noble calling, there are ethical standards which are in the Constitution. And it's those standards we must abide by. Now, for me not to want to support my son or my brother, something would be wrong with me. No, I am not on a judge on a bench. No, if I happen to be on the bench as a judge, I would certainly have to excuse myself
Recluse,
or
the whole
recuse.
thing. Yeah.
That's different because that's a different position. But simply, if my son wants to run, or my daughter, or my cousin, or even a friend of mine, if a friend of mine wants to run and I have a lot of confidence in him, I think he meets all the standards, I should support him. So I don't think
You
he should.
know, I heard I heard Greg suggest that that people vote for you based on your popularity and whatnot. But there's an aspect of it that we have to look at, and that the money part of it, the money that is spent to elect. And unfortunately, that's a two-sided thing because while some are spending money, there are those who are taking it. And the ones who take it then and go to vote, I mean, I think something awfully wrong with that. But it's real. And so if the party decides, in particular PUP decides that they want Elude Miller, then the what
Hello?
happened.
Okay, I lost you. Yeah.
We saw what happened in that Kentucky primary, and I want to touch on that a bit. And I want to cross the borders between our two different systems yet. But we saw a lot of money spent there, and we saw that the incumbent Massey was pushed aside, no, for a newcomer. So the money does make a big difference in elections. So who's going to have the money in this one? Is Pollard going to be able to capture enough donors and sponsors, or is Miller going to control the party's finances? How is that going to work?
I spoke to Mr. AI about the situation here with relatives running in politics, and this is what it said. I'll just read the headings. These are the dangers: severe conflicts of interest, erosion of meritocracy and efficiency, breakdown of checks and balances, widespread public distrust and unrest. So those are some of the dangers when you have.
You know, yeah, I was going to say if your father is a lawyer or your mother is a lawyer, you're more likely to be a lawyer growing up. If your father is a pastor, your mother is a pastor, you're very likely that you will be the pastor of a church. I think there are certain things that becomes a tradition of a
Okay.
family. So I am not against it, that they will take up these callings that is traditionally part of their family makeup, right? For one thing, they see whatever the benefit there is of it, it is known to them, right? So that is not an issue. The issue I generally will have, will they disadvantage someone else to place their family there? I think we kind of saw that a little bit with the Barrow situation, and but not that Shine did not work hard for his position. I think that young man contributed a lot in his early setting up. So, and I don't know what the qualification is of Mr. Pollard in terms of, he's been a councilman, and I think he's the deputy mayor at this point right now. So he's getting some training, he's getting some background if he chooses to do that. And most people, as Mr. Cowie, they stay for a mayor for a couple of years. I think the longest one we had was Lloyd Cotton, that I think he served like 4 terms or something, 4 or 5 terms. So I don't have a problem with that level of involvement and wanting to be the mayor. If the young man could demonstrate sufficient capacity in wanting it, he shows his eagerness and he does what's necessary to get the position. If he gets elected on the position and then he performs well, then everybody's better off. The city, the
You
voters.
don't have a problem with the mayor endorsing his relative over a presiding city council right now that's very well qualified. He's a very energetic young man. He's coming up in the political world, and from what I see, he's been doing a lot of good. So, why wouldn't he not endorse Mr. Pollard? Why would
But
he endorse his family?
let me answer that question, Mr. Spooner. If the Mayor Bernard did not endorse his son-in-law, I would say something is wrong with him. I think he would be a hypocrite. That would be a hypocrite. Now, if you happen to know that he and his son-in-law never did get on well, there was no affinity between them. He didn't like the guy. They had differences. But what he would not do, he would not endorse him. But for him not to endorse him because he happened to be his son-in-law, to me that would be hypocritical.
Well, you know, when Jeremy, with those things that AI told you, I think I don't see that happening in a just when nepotism is present. That happens when you don't have any integrity and there's um, no character of the individual with the talk about. So, because if you have one person with integrity, it doesn't matter what the connection is, they will do the job that they're supposed to do in the right way. So I don't I hear what EI is saying and all the things that are possible, but those things are possible anyway with any politician that doesn't play by the rules.
Maybe it
Right.
happens more with a relative being in there, your relative. Yeah.
You have a chance to get away with it. You're saying maybe, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I need to bring a correction. Today I was reading of artificial intelligence, particularly because of what is happening in America with drugs. And they are cautioning people when they look at artificial intelligence, they need to begin to understand what artificial intelligence is saying. Because some people are misinterpreting it and cause them to misjudge the profession they want to follow. Because some of these things you're hearing have been written by artificial intelligence, it really doesn't make sense. For example, those things that you said just now, artificial intelligence said, that's not for artificial intelligence to decide. They cannot decide that.
Is it another job? No, no, I don't think.
They cannot.
Well,
I don't see that sort of. I see
No,
they weren't
It gives you
saying.
things to think about. Yeah.
no. What I'm saying to you,
Uh,
artificial intelligence, when you go and look on it, it will give you those things that you said. But are you interpreting them to mean that artificial intelligence can set moral standards for human beings? Impossible.
well, it wasn't saying that is definitely going to happen, Joe. It said these are things that are possible
Dangers. Yeah.
No, but what I'm
when
telling
you
you,
have the dangers of it. And
I am saying to you, if artificial intelligence is understood to mean that these are the probabilities or possibilities, evidently it is. It is. But don't ever look at it to decide whether he should endorse this funding or not, because that will not help us.
you know, this who was saying this issue of artificial intelligence, and I'm looking at that in a way where what it is the collective intelligence of all man. This are not like something when they make up or they come from outer space. These
yes,
are just
exactly.
everybody the
It's just
input, garbage in,
the
garbage
gathering
out.
of all the information, the
Right, and
collectively
they're
gathering
able
of all these
to crop.
information and surveying them, and then trying to synthesize in some way um, some conclusion. So
Well, they can cross check a lot quicker and more efficiently than we human beings can. So that's because I like our
yes,
memory, and
Exactly.
a
yes,
memory that you don't forget. We will forget.
That's
We
it.
Yes,
we
exactly.
And
you
that's
know we
exactly what it is.
yeah,
Artificial intelligence created by man, just as the computer did by man.
right.
The human being don't have the capacity to be able to hold so much in his memory.
Exactly.
Human
Or to
beings,
retrieve the information.
no, human beings will hold, and that's the reality of the brain. We will hold on to those things that feel emotionally attached to us. The rest of things we'll discard. Now, with artificial intelligence, the millions of data that are out here is what is being put into it. So we cannot,
yes,
the human being cannot have those. So artificial intelligence can be the best domino player in the world. It can be the best chess player in the world right now. Simply because
mm,
it's out this and what is it that you can retain. So when you go to the even computer today, when you want to make a decision from certain, even in gambling, you can spin a dice with the computer now 1,000,000 times before you can have only spin a dice maybe 1,000 times. You can get you tired. So what it is telling you, and I was reading of it today, we have to be careful how we are beginning to use this so-called technology as we are going along. A company, all some other high-profile companies, are beginning to use it as an excuse to cover up for getting rid of workers when in fact it's not that.
But Joe, every step that man has made in his evolution to a higher intelligence
That's
has
right.
been challenged and viewed with suspicion.
It
If
is
we were to stop at the first step, we'd have be in a troubled land. We're not going to get where we are today.
exactly.
So, and again, like with everything else, there's good and bad. There's just dichotomy that we can't escape from. It seems that is either the curse of mankind or the blessing of mankind.
That's right.
But we have people who can use this artificial intelligence in bad ways.
Right.
Many are using it as because the whole propaganda aspect of it, it can gaslight well. It can make you believe that things are what they're not and present to you evidence of it being that way. Um, Jeremy
You
gave
have a
me
good
Well,
example, Mr. Chairman, right in the splitting of the atoms. When we
Yeah,
split the atoms,
but
the splitting of the atoms was not intended to make an atomic bomb to kill people,
right.
but it was
yeah,
to use the splitting
yeah.
of the
I, I,
atoms.
I want to I want to
Sure.
Go
I
ahead,
want to
Jeremy.
kind of stick a little bit with the situation though with the role of the city council and the endorsement, because we are coming into hurricane season and all those things, and we know that the city council plays a big role in hurricane preparedness. What I'd like to hear from someone that's seeking this position for, to be our new mayor would be what would be their take on trying to make our country and our city more storm weather prepared. What are those are the type of thing that would test to me that this person really is thinking about these issues. They're really focused on the development of the city and the community. And so those are the areas that I would like to get. And I know, Mr. Cowie, you as mayor had a big role in preparing the city and the country, or mainly the city, I believe, city, for these type of situation as we approach these hurricane season. I think it opens up in a few more months, right?
But now that because right now that raises a good question, Joe. What role does the city play? Because we know that a lot of the preparation comes from personal preparation. People battening the hatches, people being careful where if they live in low areas, trying to get to high areas. People have to limb the trees in their surrounding areas. What are some of the things that the city has to do to prepare the city for such an eventuality?
Well, you know, the city council sits on the National Emergency Organization. I
Yeah,
think it's
Nemo,
called.
Nemo, yeah.
Then you got NEMO, you got MIMO. Now, what the city most important preparation is indeed one to let the citizens get clearly what is the focus of these storms and have the residents prepared to secure themselves in a safe place and to be able to have the necessary food and water with them. So that to me has been the primary objective. Know what the forecast is saying, find out what are the buildings that will be able to sustain that forecast if it should have happened, and make sure the people can get to those buildings if where they reside is not suitable, and make sure that they have the necessary things that in the event that the hurricane do land, that they can endure for a period until when they can get help. That is what we have always been looking at.
They do
Primary.
have a list of hurricane shelters, right?
That's right. That's right.
Places that are designated for that.
And they begin to announce it from early where these places are. And I must say this, I think over the last few years, I think they have performed very good, very good. I hear some people complain when they give forecast and it doesn't happen and they begin to complain, oh, they don't know whether it's not that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a forecast. It's not saying here that it will definitely
Yeah.
happen. No, we should thank the Lord, thank God if there is such a God that we believe in. But it didn't come.
I think we haven't done badly. We had a bad hurricane a couple of years ago,
Right, exactly.
and we recovered rather quickly, and we handled through. I don't think there were any deaths in that hurricane. It was early. It was. Uh,
Man, if
yeah.
you look at what Belize did in the preparation for hurricanes, we did better than New Orleans and them.
Well, you know what, bring in New Orleans
No,
necessarily.
if you go back to what happened with them back then with that hurricane,
Yeah, that was, well, that was after a flood though. It wasn't
oh,
dike
that was
broke
a
or
Yeah,
big,
anything.
the whatever broke the breakers broke, yeah, and it flooded
that's
out the
right.
city, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
that
Levis,
forget
that
what
be
they
a
call
Levis
it.
mess.
The dikes broke, yeah.
Levis, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well,
we go ahead.
Dikes mean something else
no,
nowadays. Yeah.
I was going to say also what I see as a necessity, in terms of those type of planning is to constantly do what I would consider shoreline protection for the city and our areas, and then also have long-term planning so that as our city grows, there's place so that people can evacuation center, like you were saying, Mr. Cowie, identifying them, but also make sure that we build buildings that that can sustain the type of storm that we're now projecting to have. We're looking, I mean, we are talking that we're going to have storms of the kind of Hurricane Hattie and others that were category 4 and larger, 200 miles an hour and those type of things. So we need to make sure that part of our master planning in the city addresses these type of construction so that when they are building some government buildings, whether it be school building or hospital or community centers, that we're thinking about those type of things and don't just build them at the cheapest cost. We build them with that kind of thought that we may need to have them serve as an emergency center for the community in case of a hurricane, or Guatemala always have earthquakes, and sometimes it shakes up all the way up into Belize, and we have never had any real issue with earthquakes per se. But I believe that if we start thinking long term, and I think the city council plays an important role in these type of things. So if we have a mayor that's progressive in those type of area, and I like the fact that he's a young man, it could be a young woman, but a younger person
Well,
that,
they're both young, about maybe about the same age actually.
yeah, no, I say I like that the person that he is, that Mr. Pollard is. So to
Okay.
me, it brings a certain type of new thinking and energy that I'm hoping will revolutionize the pattern and the ways we have acted in the past. So
I
yeah.
saw a story actually today about a moratorium on buildings going above 3 or 4 stories high, in particular in specific areas of the country. So that might be part of what they have in mind in that now, because we see, in particular in the Keys, some very tall
Mhm,
buildings going up, and
mhm,
there have been some concerns raised about that.
yeah.
Somebody did a story one time that there was some deep cave underneath a Kikaka. Any of you guys know of that, and if that is
I've
true?
heard of it. I've heard of it. I read about it some time ago, but I don't know how true it is. But I understand it does sit on that the key does sit on a underwater cave.
Yeah, there was some concern about when they were driving piles if they would collapse,
Right.
not because of the underwater, but apparently it's true because I've seen videos on Facebook of some expeditions of where people go and they dive underneath Key Carker. So it's not something I'd like to do, but it's very dangerous. But I think Tony, one of the photographers, had some beautiful pictures of underneath there. But I don't know if it's a tour. I don't know if it's advertised. I don't see it advertised. But if it's a concern, we
Maybe
have to watch those buildings that are going up. And also, when you all were talking, when you were saying 3 stories, 4 stories, how do you, if a fire ever happens in one of those, do we have fire engines that can deal with that? I think we only have one in Belize City that when the Paslow building was burning, that's when they used it. And what happens when you have a building that's like 4 or 5 stories, which they are right now in Belize City? How do we deal with those? And especially from
Well,
Marion Stadium,
uh,
there's no permanent fire engine station for Belize City except the one
yeah,
I think on the south side. Yeah,
I
but
agree with
that's
you,
something
and
to think
definitely,
about.
definitely, if we start building those type of buildings, we definitely need to reconsider and think about the fire and safety protection of our citizens. Um, those would mean that the buildings may be sprinklered, the buildings may have fire alarm detection system, and I think they do. I think from what I've seen of the buildings that are tall, they do have fire protection capability. I don't know if they have sprinkler systems, um, but I know they do have that. But your point is well taken that we need to make sure we have the equipment and infrastructure that we can rescue people and probably save the property if we can. But that is important that we make sure we match the infrastructure with the resource of equipment so that we can make those protections.
Yeah.
Jeremy, where's the fire station on the south side?
That's the one by
Is
that same
it by
street
Mary
that
Jo?
goes past Roger Stadium. It goes all the way down to
Yeah,
Is it Yabra? It's on the right hand side. I forget what that station is named.
Okay, okay, that's still there. All right, that's on Dolphin Street. Yeah,
Oh, that's Dolphin Street. Yeah, I
right,
think it has
right.
two fire engines or one.
Actually, that street has 3 or 4 names. I don't know why they do that in Belize because it starts out as Lake Independence Boulevard. Yeah, Lake Independence Boulevard. No, no, not Lakeview Street. Then it
Yeah,
goes to um, no, it starts on Magazine Road. Then it goes to Fairweather, Dolphin Street. Then it goes to Fairweather Street. Then it goes all the way back in Yabra to something else. But that's a side. Yeah, I remember now there is a fire station there. I don't know
yeah.
how active it is. Yeah.
I think there's only two. That one and the one, and then of course there's the airport. I think if there was a real emergency, then probably they would send some down from the airport. They got quite some
Okay.
nice machines up there.
I think the big ones are at Marion Jones Stadium. There's a
yeah,
Yeah, but
but
that's a terrible place to have. How,
oh, of course.
how can you sell their fire station without having a location for them to move to?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
disgusting.
yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. Yeah.
That's what
These are the
happened.
leaders of our country. These are the type of people that lead in our country.
Yeah,
Why you look at Joe when you say that though? Joe's
I
not
never
letting
look
that
at
come.
Joe.
Okay,
But I
He
just
like
want,
he want me and you war, Joe. I know war with you.
to bring to your attention that Belize has a central building authority. We do have
yes,
the country.
Yeah,
yes,
but I have to admit, in our entrance to Bella Vista, we've got bylaws that we fought very hard. We are the first neighborhood to have bylaws, and even to get that enforced, you have to lobby the city council. CPA, they built at the entrance of Bella Vista, and they gave them parking all alongside the entrance, and we had to fight it. We're saying, oh, how the hell are the people from Bella Vista going to get out?
yeah,
Why are you giving them parking on the street there?
yeah,
It's ridiculous. And you have to, if you are not diligent, watch what's happening in your neighborhood, things are going to happen. And
yes,
CBA is not doing their job. We find them all the time making mistakes.
and
And
when
Mayor
it
Bradley at the time, when we took it to the mayor, he told off the engineer that worked for CBA. He said, "Didn't you see that was going to be a problem?"
but when you
You
leave it
know?
and get entrenched, that's the problem. But I don't think there should be any parking along the highways in particular. I see on the
Yeah.
northern highway now, they're
Yeah.
parking along the entire length of the parkway. So
Well, you
yeah,
see all those buildings going up on the northern highway.
oh man, it is.
It's crazy. There's no parking. My
yeah,
father said, I think that on a lot, if you build a building, you have to have 25% of it. I don't know what it is. Maybe
yeah.
Gregory.
It's
Twenty-five
about
percent has to be put aside for
25%.
parking.
Yeah,
How much?
yeah. It's about
25.
25%. Yeah,
What they should do is make the first floor parking and have underground parking
Yeah.
under the,
Yeah.
and then you go up one more floor and put the
Yeah.
offices on top.
Yeah.
That seems to me to make sense, no?
And I mentioned it last week. Why doesn't traffic just from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, no parking on the northern highway to facilitate traffic coming into the city?
I go for that. I think that is fair.
And stop these buses from stopping after roundabouts and just stopping everywhere. Stop and then go 10 yards and pick up somebody else. Why? Just how long
we're,
is this being
we're
in
hoping with
charge?
the new bus transport, the new Belize Transport Authority and busing control, that those type of measures will take hold because now you have a central authority operating it. And so that's why I supported that particular idea and,
Monopoly.
and monopoly because I'm hoping it will bring some order. Go ahead.
But let me remind you of something again. Is that you see those areas where they are putting up those buildings
Yeah,
on the Northern Highway?
yeah,
Those are large commercial lots that were designed primarily for business
But
purposes.
they're overbuilding, Mr. Coy.
yeah.
They're putting
They're
too
taking up
large a
most of the lot.
building.
Yeah, but just allow me to finish.
Okay.
Now, those buildings, the side of those lots, and if you talk about the Central Building Authority, is that a case that we do not have a good Central Building Authority laws because they come from Cubic, the same
Yeah.
Cubic that all these Caribbean countries adhere
Yes.
to. And that's what
Yes.
we adopted in Belize.
Yes.
The problem with us, and I will ask a provocative questions at the right time in the same show. Why is it that we continue to have laws that are not being complied with? It's not the law is not the issue.
Yeah.
No
I
vehicle should
agree.
be allowed to park in those areas because those lands, you cannot design a building where there's no parking area in on the
Yes.
land.
Yes.
But again, though, and that spans a lot of areas. And we have laws. That is not the problem. Many people, well, why we're not going to allow for this one? We have the laws, but we're
Yeah,
just not enforcing them, and the
Exactly.
people are not adhering to them. That's a common sense thing. If you're putting up a business, a building for a business,
Yeah.
where are you going to park the parking?
Yeah.
There are a couple of places I see around town where that has affected their business because they don't got no parking. People just well decide they don't want to walk no long distance to get to it. A lot of
Well,
places downtown.
yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say,
Take a
was
look at
not the
Mirab,
complaint about
Mirab,
Albert Street? Was
yeah,
not the complaint about Albert Street why they were losing business was because
Yes,
people
yes,
yeah.
yes.
people
All the
That's
taxis were
don't.
parking out there. People were parking on Albert Street, and customers never had no, didn't have anywhere to
but,
go
but, but
to park.
Jeremy,
Yeah, yeah.
Mirab is a good example of
Look
what
at Mirab, incredible. Brody's on the Northern
Brodies.
Highway,
Yeah.
Publix, Atlantic Bank. They've actually built a building for
Yeah, but
parking.
they all have parking areas.
Yes,
Yeah, because
and
when
that's
they
what it should be.
yes, but when
Benny's,
they
look at
you see
Benny's.
now when they design and they decided that they may expand the city just from where the Palote is, I'll just behind that. It was designed for the purpose that they knew that Albert Street will not continue to be the commercial center because the city was growing. So all those properties, you see where Coley Drive is now?
Mhm.
All of those properties between Coley Drive and the highway were one property, one size. They were all commercial. And the idea was that we were going to move the center from North Front Street because we couldn't continue to develop. So we had to move over towards that part of the city. That is why those lots were built as commercial lots, and that parking can be on the lots. So they do, if they did acquire them, all of them have their own parking area. When you go to Publix, you got your own parking area. You
Yeah,
go to
before
when you go to Anthony Turton, you got parking. When you go to
right
Row,
because
you got parking.
they were designed for that purpose.
Yeah,
before we switch off to the next topic, immigration, right in front of the immigration department, cars are lining up on two sides of that highway. Even
yeah.
coming down, people when they can't park on one side, park on the other side. So that right there is also a mess. But immigration department now, there's a scandal, money missing. You guys following that
Hmm.
story?
I heard about it. Yes, and at some nationality paper, I think two nationality papers went missing also.
Now, how significant is that? Because they're just two. Is it a worthy of
Well, I guess
alarm?
you could sell it. You give somebody a national Belizean nationality, probably
Somebody
sell
might
it for a couple
somebody might
$1,000.
want somebody might want a Trump $5 million passport.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
But let me ask
yeah.
you a question, very important question. How was that fraud uncovered?
That I don't know.
Well, I think they're having a little better auditing of the passports now and the stuff they're documenting things a little better because
That
they now have an electronic system. But so I don't know exactly how it was uncovered, but I know that now that they have made the system an electronic system, it's easier to keep track and to follow through with, do an audit and follow through and see how things are going. I hope that's the way it's discovered.
On the contrary, that kind of digital system did not come up as no foolproof for fraud. It could make fraud even easier. The issue that we are facing, gentlemen, and I keep saying it, and I don't understand, and that's why the provocative question is yet to come. Why is it that we are spending almost 2 billion a year? And here in the Constitution, it demands that the budget be audited within 6 months after the end of the year and presented before the House. Today, I had a conversation with a senior person within the People's United Party, and I raised the issue. And he corrected me, said, Mr. Koye, you are saying 7 years. He said, as far as I know, it's 12. Fine. The point I'm making, worry, why is it?
Were we asleep at the wheel?
Why is it that we have hundreds of internal controls, laws and regulations, financial orders, store orders, Transparency and Accountability Act, the reform, the audit and tax reform, all of those things, they're all part of the internal controls with national government, and they are not being adhered to.
So we get back right back to why we have laws and enforce them and adhere to them.
And also, GMAC, why we had the permanent secretary that would have made sure that those things would happen.
Yeah. Are we a lawless people? Are we a lawless people, you think, Mr. Coy?
What I would ask the provocative question, and I hope I am not misunderstood. Do you believe that at the time when we got independence, that the masses of the people of this country were very conscious and aware of what we were going into in terms of the Constitution and democracy? Do you believe that we were aware?
It doesn't.
I think a few were, but not the majority.
I don't think
how much you'll
aware.
ever get. I don't know how much you'll ever get.
I don't think we were. I don't think we were aware, and I think in shortcutting things, we intentionally undermine ourselves in many ways to kind of make things happen in the new country that we were developing. I think we took for granted how to deal with social dysfunction, and we totally abolished the social welfare department. We went ahead and we didn't look at how to be responsible with government buildings and stuff, and we totally disband the public works department. Some very necessary infrastructure that could have kept us moving forward in many ways. And so when we did some of those things, I think it kind of put us back, but it was expedient because now we don't have this burdensome public works department. We could give out the contracts to maintain things to a friend and a colleague, and we didn't have the responsibility of meeting the needs, the social needs of people that were on the margin. And so we just disbanded those things, and we came up with minister's discretion of giving aid, and the prime minister taking a little bit of money out of his pocket or out of an account and giving to individuals that was in desperate condition. I think it was a quite short-sighted, and I think those things, if we look at them, those are the things that have affected the infrastructure of our development.
I think our moot point though, you can't put that piece back in the tube. We had
you can't, but we're looking at what caused some of the condition of where we are.
But that's not where that question was leading, because were we ready or not ready? And I've heard that before.
The question I asked was not whether
did we handle it well.
No, the question I asked is not whether if we were ready or not ready. That's not the question. The question I asked, if at the time we went into independence, do we believe that the masses, the general, let's not use the word masses, but the wide majority of the people were quite aware and conscious of the responsibility they were to take on? That's
all right. May I try to answer that?
Because I have an answer when you're finished with the chat.
in 1964, we
That's
attained
right. January.
self-government.
Yes.
Since then, we had the time to prepare, to
Yes.
discuss it amongst ourselves, to get ready for it, to do
Yes.
what we had to do to ensure that we could move forward. I don't think we've done such a bad job. We're standing here still. Lots of development has occurred within this country. Yes, there's been a lot of corruption, but that has nothing to do with us being independent. I think we, again, not only were we ready for independence, but England was ready to get rid of us. So I mean, a mutual thing, and I don't think we've handled it badly. But you have another perspective on it, Joe. Go ahead.
Well, let me agree with you that we didn't handle it badly, but that doesn't mean we handled it the best we could. So let me
Yeah.
give that answer now. It didn't happen only in Belize. It happened in many other countries, especially within the Caribbean countries.
Yes.
There emerged leaders among us who we saw like a messiah, and we had so much trust and confidence in them that actually we were being unconsciously being indoctrinated by them, and we did whatever they told us to do. If you look at what that was written from the CARICOM countries, the Caribbean countries, that is, George Price was one of them. George Price emerged from among us like a messiah. And no doubt he was an honest man in my judgment. He was a visionary person, he was a great leader. So we felt at the time that this is the man that will lead us and bring us to this promised land. And I thought he did a wonderful job, a great job. But we ourselves were not prepared. And let me give you the answer now. When they did the survey, and I spoke to Mr. Chanuna recently again to make sure, when they did the survey, less than 5% of the people understood and read the Constitution.
Mhm.
So the question is not whether we were ready, you know. I thought we were ready for independence. We should have been ready. We got self-government in 1964.
Yes.
The British retained control over what? The public service, defense, and foreign affairs. And then in 1981, when we got independence, the public sector was still a very strong public sector. That's where we did have what we thought we needed or we should have used to take us forward. But then,
Mhm.
as time went by, we begin to dismantle it and we
Yeah.
begin to
We
turn it into a
disassemble it.
partner
But
system.
our part of wholesale deterioration of the overall morality and ethics of living human life. We've seen it worldwide, and again,
That that that's
uh,
not true, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I
There
know
are
that.
many countries that started out where we were and have developed to significant areas of ethics and morality. I don't think it was just that's where the world is. I think we went down that way, and we did for many reasons. I believe or people lost their self-worth and consciousness, and I believe that the intrusion of the bribery that we saw that came in through the political system within our society greatly eroded it. And the bribery is not only political, it became a part of the infrastructure of the civil service that is responsible for taking in the government money and make wise decision and spending it. And once you start losing real revenue, you lose the potential to do the necessary work for the development of the society. And so the chicken and egg issue led to not having the revenue. We can't do the stuff. We're doing bribe. We're not able to support the police. We're not able to support the school system. We're not able to support the legal infrastructure that makes things work. And so it is the mixing of all those issues, I believe, that caused the slow erode. And now it's piling up.
you
You
know,
can't do anything.
I, I hear you, and I don't want to seem naive, but I really don't think it's that bad. I really don't. We do a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth and complaining and condemning, but at the end of the day, we look at Belize as a young country, and we are a young country. 1981, and not that long ago, and we have not we see a lot of moves on the part of both governments to try to correct some of what has happened. Not it has not been corrected. There's a lot more that can be done. But I've seen and I've seen stories where people rise up and speak out against things, and the government listens. They bend. So they're not inflexible style of governments that we're looking at. I again, it might be naive, but I think we're not doing too badly, and we can do all right. There are things that the problems we have are manageable and rectifiable.
Well,
Yeah,
it can.
there's been
It can.
when I left Belize, it was still under the British, but when I came back, there has and living up to today, there's been a lot of development in the tourist industry, in other industries, and in the
Well,
infrastructure. There has
yeah,
been a lot. But one thing I did notice, I knew who the rich people were in Belize when I left in '73, and I listened to the politicians and all of that, and I was along with them, independence, nationalism, and all of that. When I came back to Belize, there was a new breed of oligarchy in Belize, and a lot of them were people that were in government, they're friends of people in government, and their family, and they got choice properties that were government, that was British properties that they bought off, and there's a lot of choice land that they got, and a lot of
mhm.
ways of to increase their wealth because of the position they was in. That's just an observation without calling any names.
And
But if
it's
you
valid.
think,
It's
huh?
valid. I say it
Yeah.
is a valid observation. But what happened? What happened was the economic erosion that you're talking about, where the discrepancy between there were the rich people, but everybody else was poor, but they were living good. Now people don't have the means of even getting food. They don't have a decent place to sleep. When I was growing up in Belize, people had their little poor house, their little built house, but I've never seen the dilapidated type of construction when I was growing up that I'm seeing now in the country.
But
Or particularly,
can I come into it, Bob? If we say that we didn't do that bad, but we could have done better, who did the
agreed.
evaluation who did the evaluation of our performance? Who did? Who is doing the evaluation?
We
We
who
have
live it. We who live it.
who? Now
We
you
who
can
live
no,
it.
I don't see our people, majority of our people cannot evaluate the performance of government.
We're not talking about professional
But
and,
that's
and,
what we have to talk
and
about.
we're the type of evaluation of opinion that we
No,
have
no.
and the situation as it is. I mean, people have a right to their opinions, don't they?
You, yeah, you have a right to your
But
opinion.
we could
But
see
let
if
me
the
say
society has
something that Mr. Morrison said earlier. Singapore did fairly well. Taiwan did fairly well. Botswana did fairly well. I go there many countries that started out even after us around our time. Now, what is happening to us? I ask the question. We have state-owned enterprises. Do we? We do have. We sold them. We buy them back. No. Who evaluating them? Evidently, the requirement is that they can be measured by international standards, which we call the accounting. So you can know whether they are making a profit or not. You know their network, you know their assets, you know their liabilities. And that's with business. So we can tell whether our business is doing good or bad because we use international standards of accounting to measure performance, just like how we measure distance, 36 inches to the earth. So, what is the standard for evaluating the performance of a government? We have the standards, but we are not doing it. That's the point I'm trying to make. The standards were developed, I think, over 20 years or 30 years now, what they call the NPM.
Um, Joe, you're talking about evaluating a government or a country.
No, I am talking about evaluating a government first because what the government does will impact the nation, in a nation state, which we are. So, what the state does will impact the nation.
Now, so this
The government, go ahead.
evaluation, in your view, it shows what you're saying is a failing grade, a poor
No, no,
situation.
I am not putting a grade. I am saying for those who say that we are doing fairly good,
Yes.
I ask, how do you measure that? how do you arrive at that we are doing fairly good? Or for those who says,
But
let's take the
well,
UDP.
I know how to measure it, Mr. Cowie. I look at the state of the citizens. Are they better off? Mr. Clinton asked that question many years ago. Are you better off than you were before? And for certain, we have some things that are there. There's definitely development in the country, but in terms of where we are as a people, where a majority or a vast majority of the people stand, I don't think we are better off for them.
I,
They're
I, I don't think we can expect a forensic evaluation as such, because even that will not give you a perfect picture of what is happening. But
But you know what, Mr.
we can
Chairman?
look at the country and see.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, you know what? We need to be able to look back and see where we are, where we came from, and what we could have done differently, and what we need to do differently to move us to the position of where we need to be as a developing country. If Belize keeps this position where it is, with AI and all this technology and stuff happening, we will become less than a third world state. We will become a
I
failed state.
I would listen. I'm old enough to remember shitting in a slap pan and having to take it outside to dump in at the back, or the canal, hire somebody for going to I'm old enough to remember going to the pipe with a bucket and set your bucket the night before. Got the water, the peep so slow, and there's so many people who wait for the water. I can remember all of that. I you to talk about technology, and Joe was saying something earlier that I wanted to challenge, that he said that increase in technology makes fraud even easier when we were talking about the situation
Yes.
on
And
immigration. I'm
that is
saying to
totally
you
true.
though, I'm willing to bet that robberies of persons are way down, because now technology has us using one swipe card. Many people now don't carry cash anymore. Many stores don't even do business with much cash, except that a poorer class of people who insist on maintaining keeping cash. But we've come a long way, and the technology has made life a lot easier for us. We can pay our bills online. There are lots of things that has improved. Yes, it's not perfect, and yes, you would like a perfect, again, forensic audit, a forensic
Well, let
evaluation.
me explain to you when I said that technology can, in fact, make it easier for fraud to be committed. It's because we see what happened right in government with the improvement in technology. And it makes it easier because we did not follow the internal controls.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
if you use the technology for what it is, but have the internal controls being carried out,
Yeah.
then that is what will make you better off with the technology. You have what we call, the word for it is disruptive technology. And you made reference to it a while ago. Throughout history, every new discovery was a disruptive technology. When we move from the horse-drawn car to the automobile, when we move from just writing to printing, every stage of the development did cause some to go out, but it created more for us. So when we look at our technologies, they have supposed to have helped us. But if we have the technology, and I'm going back now to the question of government or a private sector, of course we have the technology. Let's take the entering of data we used to do manually in our ledger, our journal. Today you have a program called QuickBook, a computer program. And with QuickBook, somebody can do it without even going bookkeeping. They don't have to do accounting. Somebody only have to tell them, well, put this debit here and put the credit there and do that. Just data entry. So
I
that technology can benefit us. The point I want to make is that don't care how much technology we have in the world, at the end of the day, it's how we put it to good use. So if we come back, let's try to do an evaluation quickly then. What's the percentage of poverty in the country?
I think they said it's probably about 40%.
Ah,
I think what I've read is like 40% of the people are below the poverty line.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is the
question.
level, is that level, has that level risen In other words, what
Oh,
used
I'm
to be
sure it has. I'm
considered
sure it
poor.
has because they do it based on a food basket, what they call a food basket of what things cost, what rent costs, what
Right, right.
food costs. So
That's
so
not the poverty, though. That's not poverty. That's for inflation. When
no,
they
no,
use
no, no, but no, no, that is poverty because you look at where people are, what they can afford to purchase, what their purchasing
no,
power
no, no,
is.
no,
Yes,
no, no, that's not how you measure poverty in a country. What you are measuring is inflation, cost, the
no, I
CPI.
understand, Mr. Cowie. I have a degree in economics, so I understand what you're
No,
saying.
it don't matter
But
to me
I'm
what
saying,
degree you got. That's my question of how we apply this degree.
yeah,
I did
so
economics. I practice
yeah.
economics.
No, so what we look for in poverty is where people are in a level of what they can afford, where they stand within the economy that exists.
No, all we
Poverty
do
level,
Marissa,
poverty
all we
level,
do in an economy for determining poverty is what is their income. Is their
no,
income?
not only income, not only income, not only
Well,
income.
let's call it what else?
What do they own a house? Do they own a home? How far they live from work? All
No, but
these
if
things.
I don't own a home, that don't mean I'm poor. If I don't own a car, it don't mean I'm poor.
I understand. I understand. No, I'm
So
just saying when you're measuring
poverty
poverty,
can be relative. Sorry to interrupt you.
it is
Poverty
relative.
can
It,
no, poverty
it
can be
is relative.
absolute and poverty can be relative.
Mm.
It is relative.
That's
Yeah,
what I want.
Yes.
I'm saying though that you know what, poverty is an interesting thing, and when we look at it, a guy was saying that they show me a poor person, I'll show you reasons why they're poor. Poverty, a lot of people make themselves poor and use the condition of poverty to try to hustle, to try to get over. What's the real
That
poverty? Yeah, go ahead.
I could say that could be true, but then there are some people within the society and within the community that the circumstances of where they stand, where they sit, where they are, they do not have the resources to go to school. They do not have they may have a job, they may do work, but they do not get enough income to change the circumstances of their life. Yes, you could point to a person and you could probably describe that a lot of times poverty is the way people act, but sometimes it is a built-in structural situation that they find themselves in and they're not easily able to get out of it. Education is one way of getting out of poverty. So
No, can I
Owning
take
your own house also. Owning your
can I
own
take
house
your
also.
part because I think we are going a little bit too far, and I want to show you what happened to us right now.
What's that?
All I was asking is what is the poverty rate? That's all we had to answer. No, we're
yeah,
done
yeah,
with that.
and it's fine. But then we got
So
into
long with
why.
so long with the spend to
But
try, and we can't even agree on how you measure poverty. So what is our problem? Is that even that
Again, Joe, you're too forensic, man.
I don't know
le-
what to
le-
mean by forensic. I do forensic audit.
yeah, but life is not that.
Of course it is. You have to be.
You can't.
I
No,
am
you
saying
can't.
there
You
one.
can't. You
No,
can't.
no.
You
We
can't.
were talking on how we're going to evaluate the performance of a government. That's what I asked.
yes,
So here
yes,
I am
and then
trying
we
to
talk
tell us,
about poverty
yeah, now I'm
level.
trying to take us down the road as to how we do it. And we can't even move from the first point. So let's go to the next one. We can't agree on how you measure poverty. Let's go to the next one.
Mr.
What
Cowie, before you go, Mr. Cowie, just for general education for all of us and the listeners, how would you measure poverty?
I would measure poverty evidently by trying to make a determination of the income of people and then set a threshold. And to say that if they are below the threshold, they are considered poor. Now, that is what I would call the absolute poverty. Then you can measure relative poverty. And relative poverty can mean that what may be poor for us or what might be poor in America is good for us. So to me, we're spending a lot of time in trying to evaluate a performance of government, which is what we should be able to do as citizens. And poverty becomes a problem for us. So let's move to the next one.
How important? Go ahead. Go ahead. How that take too long? Then.
No, no, that's why I'm saying I don't want to take up too much of the time because I don't think we want to get into these things. But what we talk about government is not doing bad, it's doing good. The UDP said it did bad, the PUP said it did good. No, we have to be able to evaluate and the performance and not evaluate it by a partisan belief. Kind of PUP did the good because you know UDP did the good. That's not the way you run a country, man, if we want to move forward. So make we continue. Leave the poverty alone since we can't decide. How are we distributing the GDP? I want to listen to Bezos today, what he said about their GDP. How is the DPP in this country is being distributed? The pie, let's call it the pie that we're all big. How are we distributing it? What's the distribution of the GDP in this country?
Well, I know some of the largest expenditure are education.
The pie that we're all the big.
That's what I'm talking about. How the government has allocated a large amount of its budget to education and to healthcare. Those are the two big consumers of what the distribution is of the $1.94 billion. That's the government.
No, but that's different, Mr. Morrison. You are talking about taxes. What
No,
government
I'm not
collects?
talking about taxes. I said nothing about. I said
But
revenue.
you
I
are
said
saying that what you are talking
the
about, what
budget.
government is spending.
No, I
And
said what. I
education
said
and
what.
health. I am not asking what government is spending on education and health. We have
That's how
we have the gross domestic product of the country.
I
We know the
understand.
GDP. Now,
Yes.
I am asking how is it being distributed? Let me give you a quickly then.
And I told you a large
We have
percent.
shown where the majority, over 50% of the people of this country, are not even getting 25% of the GDP. So the inequality in the distribution of GDP is a part of our social problems. And we need to correct that. So if we move to the next one, after we're done with that, well, then we can go to inflation. So these are the things we have to. We don't
May
have
I,
to do all. We don't have to be professionals.
may I ask you a question? How important is a happiness index?
Well, you have the Human Development Index that determines that. They do. They have what
That
they call.
determines
Yeah, and
how.
they have one for happiness, the happiest people in the world.
Yeah.
And the last time they
I
did it, there were three
did
countries.
rate pretty high on that. I remember.
One of the happiest was right from Costa Rica, right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the Human Development Index, which I believe now is one of the best to measure countries' performance. Because that not take into place just those measurements we were talking. It will take into place. Let me quickly, if you allow me to, and I'm done right here. We talk about we spend, let's call the figure 150 million we spend on healthcare. Where are we saying the results of that expenditure? That's how you evaluate. I cannot just tell you how much I spend. You don't evaluate my performance by how much I spend.
But Joe, let's be honest though, because healthcare is now the NHI is rolling out universally, nationwide. I have been to the hospital a couple of times and have gotten good treatment, in particular at the primary care. Tertiary care, of course, should be cost something because, in particular, if people can afford it. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're doing badly as far as healthcare is concerned either. And again, I don't want to seem overly optimistic here and naive in all of this. But I think that many times we cry too much when in fact no criminal there for bury nobody.
Well, I like your rhetoric, but let me correct you on something. Remember, I was the Minister of Health that led the government in terms of implementing the NHI. I was the one in charge of that. So I knew that what we were doing would have benefited the country, no doubt. But we didn't follow through. So to tell me now that you're getting better service, I would say yes. But can you tell me whether people now have living healthier generally? Have we extended our health span? Not our lifespan, our health span. Because that is important.
But there are many factors there, though, Joe. You can't pin that part.
The fact I'm saying to you, Mr. Chairman, we are not prepared, it seems, to take a professional approach to measure the performance of a government. And that's why we get tied up with emotions and partisan politics. And we say a lot of things that are not true.
You'd have to tell me what are a few of the things we've been saying so far that's not true?
Because what I'm saying to you.
No. The question is, What are some of the things we've been saying so far that's not true?
I am saying that when we say that we are doing pretty good, all right, that could be true, but tell me how you arrive at it.
See, Joe, you didn't answer the question at all. You went off on a tangent.
No, that I'm not having a tangent.
You said,
I am
you
saying,
said,
man, I am saying,
you said that we're saying things that are not true. My
No.
question was simple. What are a few of the things that we have said so far that you believe is not true? And then you go after, well, you're saying to me and all of that, but that is not answering the
the
question.
reason why I am saying that it is not true.
Yeah, that's not the reason why. What are some of the things we have been saying that are not true?
I think many of the things that we are saying are not true. And I'm saying they are not true because some of them I know that they are not true. Because if we look at the indicators,
No. What are some of the ones that are not true?
all right, what is the percentage of poverty in the country?
Well, we didn't even
I
say
think
it. We
I
didn't
think, I
say
think
it.
it's 40%. I think I read that it's 40%.
All right, let's say it's 40%. What was it 10 years ago?
I don't know.
All right, so we don't
But
know. So
I
you
don't
said
know
like
what it
we're
was.
doing good, but we don't know what it was 10 years ago, but we know what it is today. That's not how you say we are doing good. When a business is doing good and it puts it on the stock exchange, this high profile business made profit of 20%, or so many millions in the air. The stock went up by so much. Those are the kind of information you're getting. But I'm not suggesting we have to be that sophisticated. But the point I am making is that the partisan politics in us, the PUP UDP politics, has made the majority of us seems to not even know and have no interest in evaluating the performance of a government, except to jump up and when the PUP they in, the UDP quick to say they're not the good, but
But
they're not
that's
doing
not
good.
that's not fair. That's not fair.
No, no,
Because
it's
that
fair.
you
It
know
is fair. Mr. Chairman,
you
it is
state
fair.
that
So let me tell you,
you state that as if that's the general attitude of the people. There's some people that do that. Some people that play that politics, and over time it has been proven that that number has lessened. That percentage of people that do that has lessened to
no,
where.
Mr. Chairman, I will prove you wrong right now. The patronage system in the country has increased. It has not lessened.
But that's not what I was saying.
No,
That's
but
not
that
what I
is
was
what, that's
talking
what I'm
about at
telling you.
all.
That's what I'm telling you. What you are saying is not true.
What
The
is that?
patron-
What did I say that's not true?
Repeat it for me then.
All right.
Repeat what you said.
Yeah, that's better. That's a better course to take.
All
I
right.
am saying that the people that when PUP instead of PUP file, when the UDP file, when UDP instead of PUP, that percentage of people are not so rabid in that political partisanship as they once were. And people are willing, like right now, the PUP came in because a lot of people were formerly UDPs voted for the PUP and put them in office. So I don't think that we're doing that as much. Yes, there are a lot of things we're not doing well. We could do better in a lot of areas, but I really think that we spend too much time picking at the things that are wrong and not at all trying to enhance and look at the things that are going right. Everything is not going wrong. That is the point I'm trying to make.
All right. That's your point, and I respect your point. My point I want to make, yes, I am a PUP. Yes, I support the principle of define the purpose of the PUP. But that doesn't mean I cannot criticize the party. Of course I can, and I should. No, let's come back. Let's come back. The 13 years, and I can evaluate the performance of government. I don't want to be sounding intellectually arrogant, but I can. I can do that. I can evaluate the performance of a government. The 13 years under the UDP administration has been one of the worst in this country in sense of political and administrative dysfunction, and that is true.
Do
It
you
is
think if
going
we
to
ask if we ask Greg that same question,
hold on.
would he
Hold
have
on.
the same view?
I will ask Greg answer when I don't. I am saying to you, it was proven clearly, not just by PUPs or UDPs, that they had become dysfunctional, and because of the patronage system, which was being encouraged to the point that the then Prime Minister at a meeting at the Bliss Institute said publicly with ministers, former prime ministers, that he supports this policy system. He told her he supported it.
I saw that. I remember that.
So
Yes.
therefore, if he's saying he supported and he did it, he did it. And that is what created the problems that they made it dysfunctional. And that is a fact, it became dysfunctional administratively. No government in this country had ever become so politically and administratively dysfunctional. That escapable government was nowhere near that. It's sad to say because I thought that no doubt the man was a man that had the potential and had the vision. No, in the midst of that, there are so many good UDPs who I can say for sure, I can speak for them, begin to saw what was going wrong. And I give them the courage to be able to take a stand. Last night I was called to listen. I think I mentioned it to you, Mr. Chairman. There was a repeat of a show on Channel 5 where Dennis Barrow was co-hosting a show with Demon Courtney, and they were interviewing Ralph Fonseca when the PUP had just recently won in 1989 and he was made Minister of State. And it was interesting to hear because Dennis Barrow was evidently representing the PUP. Demon Cote was representing
UDP.
the UDP. Dennis, two persons who I know very well and I have a great respect for. But what I'm sensing is that there are too many of our people who are academically qualified, but seems to have gone into a state where they will support political parties, not for the common good. They are doing it for their own self-interest. To me, that was not so in the 50s and 60s and 70s in this country. And let's be
How?
honest, I can tell you it was because I was in government
How?
under the British.
What are you saying, Joe?
What I'm saying is exactly what
That
I
you
said.
didn't have political patronage in the years what you were talking about
I
under
am
George Price?
I am I am saying to you, Mr. Chairman, I am absolutely sure that we had never had political patronage. You see, political patronage is not just simple helping your party supporters. That's not political patronage. That's a natural thing for human beings to do. It is when you take it to the point where you disrupt the public sector, where people get into position which has nothing to do with merits. In 1964, when we got self-government, the British was still in charge of the public service. And that public service remained highly efficient and effective. That when we went into independence in 81, we had a very good public sector. Eventually, over the years, it begins to erode. The patronage system begins to creep in. And then by 2008, when there was a change of government, we begin to see more of it. And it became so entrenched then. Not to say we never had it under the PUP, we did. But those were the very things that we were beginning. Why we had the G7 is simply because there was a patronage system already manifesting itself through the DFC, through the Social Security, through the public funds, the consolidated funds. They were there. And I was a party to it to try to correct it, and we corrected it. And that's why I keep saying, I wish the people of Belize were more. They should have voted back the PUP in 2008 and stopped there.
You're sounding a little
No.
you're sounding a little sanctimonious though, really. Because if you were a part of it, you were a part of it, you were a part of the problem then, Joe.
Yes,
And the reason why it got to the way it is. Let me see what Brackett is said. Tax revenue collection from big companies must be pursued effectively instead of just pressuring a 60% poverty status Belizean society, impoverished Belizean society. All right, whatever. Listen,
Would you give a comment? Did you care to give a comment on what he said? I think there's some truth to what he's saying.
Well, you want to comment on it?
No, I asked. I mean,
no, I don't. You can if you may. You may if you want.
It was red. I think it would be good to get a comment. But anyhow, let's go.
So what was it? What part would you like to comment on? There it is again. There it is again.
All right.
Well, I think there is a failure of collecting taxes within our system.
I agree.
Either it's tax evasion or tax avoidance. One is illegal and one is just, you could do it if you could get away with it. But we do have a system where we do not audit, do not do proper audit, we do not make it accountable. There's no clear bookkeeping and requirement, and so even in this industry of tourism, a lot of the bookings are made in the United States and Canada and other places, and it's paid in credit card. And I'm sure the government of Belize is not getting the revenue and the taxes that's due for those income, because we don't see it. We don't see it when they
Well,
tell us.
wait a
I
second.
also suspect there's a lot of people out there who making above the $72,000 a year threshold that are not collecting GST for the government. Because I've
Yeah,
worked with
yeah,
some tradesmen and what they
yeah,
charge. And when you call them up, they're always busy. And when they're charging you $2,000, $5,000 as putting an AC 5 ton unit or whatever, they're making big money. But they're not. But when
yeah.
I say, "Where's your GST?" so I can claim it back. Oh, I don't have a GST number, but you know very well that they're making more than 72. That's only $6,000 a month. You
Yeah,
know they're
yeah.
making more
No,
than that gross.
there's lots of taxes that the revenue that they got. We saw it just recently with the customs department, where the people that work for the custom department, they're getting their salary and they were getting a bigger take of the revenue from the import vehicle than the government was. The vehicle was
Well,
seven
that
thousand
was what
dollars.
I was going
Oh,
to point to. Yeah, yeah.
The
That
vehicle was
like,
$7,000. They're getting 4,000, and the government getting $2,800.
there's
I
a
mean,
lot. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. I am not going to be so stupid as to sit up here and tell you that things are so good and perfect and fine and dandy. There's a lot. What I am saying, I think we find that we focus too much, like opposition members. That was sometimes we do on what is so wrong and pick on the little things that are wrong, as opposed to try to pick ourselves up with some of the good things that are happening. It's not all bad, because obviously as a country we're still here
yeah,
after
but
almost 50 years of independence. When the doomsayers were saying we would not make it past a couple of years.
well, look at the land we lost the other
country
day that
always
a
make it.
minister's driver got, Belizean Beach, and that land was given by the Keating family to the government of the day for Belizean public, for
Use.
the
Yeah.
Belizean public, and
All right. So
that was gone.
are we just let that go and that's
And
okay
we just
then?
let that go. He done. He done.
Well, let's talk about something we want to get somebody to talk about tonight, and the group that you guys were in a Zoom meeting on Saturday with a group that's trying to an advocacy group. I would suggest, but they seem to have specific agenda, no? But I think that something like that, a group like that for something like that, that should not go. It should not happen. Let's protest that. Let's have a demonstration about that, because that Bruce Martinez should not keep that land. And I tell you what I heard the other day, that city council rented it from him for an event. Serious gave a big a lot of money for rent it from him after
Yeah,
contesting the sale of the property. So obviously, if
yeah,
you could do it and just give and all of us say, well, you know what, make guys want to leave it, but it went again. These are the things we should be trying to address, but instead we spend our time picking on certain little specific areas when there's a lot of things happening that we could do something about it by being involved as citizens.
The thing is, there's no group out there that can take on that campaign, because we rely on government or the opposition, and they don't. They just bring it out, and then that's all they do. They just bring it out to discredit the ruling party. There's no group out there. I was hoping that ACB would have been a group like that, but they totally killed the credibility of a watchdog, and that is
yeah,
disappointing. But we need an ad. Well, I think there is the ombudsman, man. Isn't that supposed to be something that looks into
yeah,
things like this? Isn't that
Appointed by
what
the
the whole
government.
purpose?
yeah.
Appointed by the government. You can't expect much
But
from that.
then appointed by the government. Yeah. So there you go.
Maybe it should be
Well,
an electable position.
let me give some positive for the chairman to feel comfortable about.
Positive.
The present government has already initiated a semi-autonomous tax department, which I thought was a very good move. They are moving towards reforming the tax administration. I was at two sessions where the commissioner did speak on it. I suggested that the next move now is for us to look at policy reform. So that is a good move being made to see how we can, in fact, mitigate the evasion of taxes, not the avoidance. Avoidance is quite legal.
Yeah.
evasion. So to me, I thought that is a very good positive move. So I can speak well of it. Now, if you ask me, now, what about the distribution of that pie? This is where now I will begin to have some concern indeed.
Did you just say, did you
Sorry,
just
one
say,
more thing.
one second, did you just say that evasion of tax is quite legal?
No, the
Avoidance.
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 Evasion is
Okay.
illegal.
Uh-huh.
Avoidance is legal.
Avoidance is legal, yeah.
Right.
And even encouraged, I guess, no?
Well,
Well, it's not
Evasion
encouraged.
and avoidance. Okay.
well, it should be encouraged.
Only our accountant like Mr. Cowie encourages it, not the
No, no,
government.
no, no, no. What you are mistaking is
Facilitates it.
no. When he said that you avoid a tax, let's
I know.
suppose. No, no. All right, good. We'll leave it then
Yeah,
because
No,
leave it
go
then.
ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead, Mr. Cowie.
no, not really. No, let's come back.
Yeah, I thought you said
Let
evasion.
me
That
give you
was my
another
bad.
good thing. When the government decided to begin and raise the minimum income, the minimum wage, to $5, I thought it was a good move. Now they are
Yes.
making it $6. So that's a good move. What he's doing, it is trying to see how he could begin to adjust the inequality in the distribution of income. How do you achieve equality in the distribution of income? Those are the things we have to do. And one is clearly through how you pay workers. Two is clearly through the tax system. Those are the two main areas.
And
Then of course,
one big one is to curb greed.
Uh,
Curb the greed of those who have and want more and
well,
can't seem to get enough.
well, if you want to curb greed, you have to begin from at home. But
Oh,
that's reforming the whole society through the families, and that's a big area that I like one of these times we take on. Because that's where we should begin.
yeah, but you don't want to throw it back on the poor people, man. I mean, you say you want to curb greed
No, I didn't throw it back on the poor people. You know what somebody said to me, and I couldn't refute it. That was yesterday. I thought about it myself. It's evidently what we see here with the gangs, that they are the culprits. They are the ones doing the killing, the robbing, and whatnot. He said, but we stop and we ask ourselves, could not they be the victims? Did we ever stop to ask what was their life when they were young and small kids? What was their life like? Did
Yeah,
they
that's no justification. I wouldn't even entertain that. I don't know how you
don't
entertain that.
no,
entertain
you have to
you are
at some
very
point.
inhumane, Mr. Chairman, to
You-
not
you
even.
have to-
I hear that. I hear what you're saying.
But it's
I could see
important.
that.
It's
But
very
you
important.
know what? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of the killings that are happening, they're not necessarily on gang thing, you know. So a lot of it are personal beef. Somebody do something, somebody something. A lot of it was domestic violence. So, but you cannot lump them all together and say, "Oh, that the gangs do it," and when you
No, no,
do
no,
that,
no,
say,
no,
pick
no,
up the gangs.
no. I think you missed my point then. I am
It's the
not
gang.
saying, I am not taking the gangs as if though they are the problem. It's one of the problems that comes as a result of weak family structure. So the person out there with the rape, the person with the assault, other than gangs, the person where they did these same deviant things,
Right.
again, it's a symptom of failure of the family structure. That's what I'm saying. And that's a fact. That's a sociological fact. We cannot deny that. And that's what we need to address.
Anyway, let me try a few something else. I something happened. I saw it on the news, and it really broke my heart because my father was backing out of area and run over a child, a 1 year child. I can't imagine the anguish that a person goes through, and that's why we have to be very careful when we got young children to know exactly where they are, and this is one part of what we have to do for develop the whole structure, the social fabric of our society. I was in the park yesterday. If you don't want to mention something on that, go ahead. But there's a little girl that comes in the park every day, and the man come in and left hand there and go. So a concerned citizen actually came by and saw me talking to the leader because I asked him, well, you know, they're at school. What they happen there, I see on a couple of days. You say, man, tell her enough to go to school.
How
So
old
they
is
got
the child?
about 7. So a little girl at that. She leaves her there and goes all day and come back in the evening and pick her up, tell her to wait till 5:30.
Oh wow.
And many times the child is in there by herself or in the back playing. And because in that
Oh,
time during school or whatever, very few children in the park at all, no? We
oh
don't
wow.
allow
So
it.
no food, no water, no food, no water. She leaves the little girl with money.
Well, I don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
But
Well,
they
I hope we have some, Mr. Chairman. I hope there are some social services that you
Yeah.
can report this incident
actually
to.
That's
that's the good news I'm getting ready to
that's
report.
abandonment.
Because somebody called the police came to their credit, picked her up, took her to the
Mhm.
social services people. Today she came by and I saw that she was in uniform. And I went over to the mom. I said, yes, you say yes because I tell her I forgot at school. I say yes, she has to go to school. And I think this way it's gonna take for all of us to be involved. And when we see something, say something. Simple. We have to stop the shh, no say not none of my business.
Yeah,
If we're gonna complain about it when it goes wrong, we have to see what we could do about it when we see it going wrong. And
yes,
That's what
yes,
I said to the gentleman that we were trying to get on the show and answered him.
yeah,
I said we seem to have been pretty good in diagnosing the problem.
oh, we
But,
are, yeah, we're good at
but it
that.
seems that what is eluding us is the therapy. Now,
yeah,
let me say I heard something just now that you said, and I need to answer it about that child and that mother. And yes, the mother seems to have been neglectful, if not grossly negligent. But where was the father? Where was the father? You see, the mother is taking the blame because that was the lady who left her there. But where is the father?
Joe, that one loaded question because we don't know the scenarios are endless. What could be happening? Why it could be? I remember when I was young and had to fight like crazy to see my child because the mother was hiding him from me. So that happens a lot of times, and we don't know what the particulars are. So we can ask those questions. But many times, I don't know if we want to know the answers.
I think we should want to know the answer. And I will give you my experience as a area representative. I would say maybe 9 out of 10, if not more, maybe 9.5 out of 10, which will give you 18 out of 20 or 19 out of 20. Who comes to try to find help for the children? The mother.
Oh, that's natural, natural.
I
That's natural.
believe one of the problems facing us in this country right now evidently must be from a failure of the family structure. And it is true that in most of the cases, the child will be left with the mother. The father tends to go away, leave the child. The mother is always, in most cases, will stay with the child.
Uh,
Now, are we going to continue as men to want to find excuses for the fathers when in fact we should not? We
but
should.
I don't know where anyone is finding an excuse for any other father. I haven't
For
heard
me,
that at all.
for me,
Um,
what you'll find in most of your cases, and I believe you will experience it right there in your silent revolution, I call it. In most cases, who do you think come to the park with the children? Which of the parents come to the park?
no, I've had a couple of fathers come and I have a lot of mothers not come. So
No,
I
no.
don't,
Out of
okay.
them. All right, good. Let's leave that question alone then.
But mothers are more involved in their children's lives, and in fact, when these children grow up, they tend to cling to their mother more than to their father. Did you notice that also?
Well, in cases where the fathers are neglecting their responsibility, it will.
I don't know. Even in cases where the fathers do what they could, the children tend to, and I think that's a natural thing.
I don't
So,
agree with that. That's not a natural thing. No, God
okay,
never make human beings like that. He made us the same way like we make the animals.
you don't think that children have a closer proximity to that? They tend to cling more to the mothers than the fathers.
They will cling more to the mothers if, in fact, the fathers take up a position and just be a bread earner, go to
Ah,
work and bring the money.
you serious that all right? Only
No,
in cases like that. All
no,
right.
no. I am saying in cases like that, it is more likely that they will more cling to the mother because that is the person who is, in fact, mothering and fathering them in the home. But if you believe that as a father, your job is simply to go work, bring the money, then after that in the evening, you go somewhere with your friends, you go and sit down at the club, bar room, wherever they are. And don't even try about going with the child and maybe take her to raise a kite, take her for a little hike, take her out, play a football. these are what we used to do. This is what our parents used to do. My father make kites for us, raise kite with us. So to me, you are not just a breadwinner. The father must not be seen just as a breadwinner. The father is a partner. He's a partner with the mother in the development of the children.
Joe, our hydra-headed problem we got, there are so many angles we have to look at this from and approach it from. The, the bottom line is something has to be done. Um, in particular, when it comes to the family structure and how these children are being raised, because the raising of the children that turns into delinquent adults. I think the problems what we face with grown-ups is because they did not get that sound foundation at home. I think that goes without saying, and it's obvious. Uh, Again, though, we spend a lot of time diagnosing the problem and not enough time trying to come up with solutions.
Well, I think there have
Well,
been solutions. They just haven't been in. They haven't, like everything else. They haven't been enforced. You know.
That's right. Implement it.
yeah,
That's right. You're so
What
right.
We
what
know what the
what
answers are.
We
Well,
know.
we
I
here
think
on this panel here are not experts, but we can identify what the problems are. You know,
all
but we
right,
don't.
all
I
right.
think I think I
One
think
of the,
part of the problem we see with fathers is that many times, the woman is most often burdened with the child because they are the one that bring this
The
child out.
parent
The
of the
father
child.
may
Yeah.
be off making children with some other woman, and so he's split up his interest is split up and stuff. But I think we can make the difference in the society if we start prioritizing families. And we start recognizing that in the society we need to create opportunities for mothers and fathers. Right now, the employment, I don't know what it is really in terms of whether more women are employed and or more men within our society. I don't know how the distribution is, but in the normal suspect of it, it is often in this type of society that we have now that more women are being employed in the society than the men. And so we need to figure out how to make employment possibilities, encourage it through whatever programs we have, so that the father can can be a presence in the home and a supporter of the family. That poor lady, I mean, she do seem like a inadequate mother dropping off the kids there, but we don't know what her circumstances is. Is she going off to do a job, but still that's a great neglect? Or is she going off to see a boyfriend and dropping the child there? There are lots of issues that needs to kind of understand the dynamics of why she's doing it. And if she's doing it for some noble reason, then it's easy to find the reasons she's doing it and help her with a solution. But if she's just dropping the child off there and running off to see some other guy or doing some other thing that she shouldn't be involved in, then that's a character flaw that has led her to the neglect of that child.
But you know, Gregory, to get to that point where you drop off your kid in a public park, 7 years old, and you
Yeah,
walk away from that and not feel no way about it. I can
yeah,
understand that mentality. I would panic leaving my boy of 7 years old or 5 years old
yeah,
in a park on his own. Or worse, my daughter.
there's
yeah,
something
yeah,
there's something now, and I want to say this. There's an old saying: "You make your bed hard, you sleep in it." And some of those, and we've gotten away from quoting these proverbs, if you will, to our children. Mothers, and you talk about the poor mothers, and then victimize the dads. Um, and the mothers, I was just celebrated Mother's Day, and I was thinking at Mother's Day, well, writing something, and I said, let me temper this, because many times the mothers could do a lot more because they definitely have more influence over children than the fathers do. Whether that because as Joe said, the fathers know the down and drop down and go, or the fact that there's just one natural tendency for children to look to their mothers and listen more to their mother. But I remember a story when working with the police, and I think Crispin Jeffries was the commissioner And he said to me one day, G Mike, I got something I want to say. Let's go with me. So we went to this house and this lady was at home and he knocked on the door. He said, Miss, I want to talk to Alfred, the lady's son. And the lady said, man, my son just come in tired, he need to sleep. He right in at the room about Jeffrey said, make we talk to him and said, no, I don't want to disturb my son for I don't want to go catch some real tea for something. So then he said this and I wasn't even sure where he was going. He said, well, Miss Sherway though, why not go down to the morgue and check for because somebody seemed to be wearing your picnic clothes and got the ID pana. This lady dropped right down there, front of where you hear me? Because at the end of the day, you hear the mothers on a lot of time on TV. Oh, my little boy, he never do nothing like that. He not talk to you if you not talk to him. That poor little boy did him that way, they harass him for no reason. They know a lot of times what is happening. They're not helping. So part of the solution is for these mothers to come up and be more honest and sincere about what is going. When they say wrong, stop it. When they say the picnic on home, a pair of slippers when I belong to her, because if we never gone home in my day with something well enough for me, where they never buy for me, I had to explain where I get it, how, and I know why here no little boy give. Because nobody can give you nothing like that. You know, give you nothing when the parents buy for them. So that is just one aspect of it that I'd like for us to consider sometimes when we're looking at this whole problem.
Can I just
Also,
ask
very
you a
interesting.
question, Mr. Chairman? Did the Commissioner, Crispin Jeffrey, ask where is the father?
I don't know. He didn't ask front of me, no.
Okay. All right.
I want you all to listen to this story. I used to sit down next door to me was a base, and these guys used to hang out there. They were drug dealers, hustlers. They were the I guess the people who don't fit into society and so on. And I used to like to listen to get a feel of their mentality, how they look at life, and so on. And we came to a topic about a young girl where she's with her mother, but the father that is stepfather. And the legal starts coming into maturity and she starts to get the eye of the stepfather. And the stepfather molests her, has sex with her, and the little girl goes to the mother, and the mother tells the little girl, make I tell you something. You see that man there? That man they look after we. Where your pa there? Your pa no they look after we. So wherever he want, you give it to him. And that's some of the mentality that is out there. And I found that distressful. And these guys that were probably talking about it, that's probably how they think too, because they were relaying the story to me. What do you guys think about that? That must be happening all over Belize City or in Belize.
Where was the father? I guess this was your ask.
Well,
But
the
at the end,
stepfather was there. He was taking advantage of the little girl, and the mother condoned it because the stepfather was financially supporting them.
I think morally the mother was wrong.
Of course, she
I
was
think-
wrong.
Yeah,
Of
she was
course
wrong.
she was wrong.
you think, Joe?
No, she's wrong. She's wrong. No, ask a question. Was it about the survival that she was more concerned about for the child? And why is
Well,
it
that's
that?
part of it also. That's all
Right.
part of it. But,
So to
but
me,
there comes a point where
I
you
am
can
not
say
saying
your
no,
daughter like that.
in this case, what I'm saying, let's look at being fair to both parties.
Yeah, sorry for
Mother
interrupting.
was there, and the mother condoned a wrong that was done by the stepfather. Where was the father to make
Well,
sure that the child could have been in fact taken care of?
you can't explain away every problem with that one question, though, Joe. Because we look at also this other day with this lady, and circumstances have a lot to do with it. We dropped the charges after that.
The
The
policeman beat
policeman
up.
Slapping at the
beat
kid.
up and beat the little boy. And I'm saying, again, the circumstances, he's not the breadwinner. He said specifically in one of the videos that they showed that me to take care, you have to remember, I get all where you want. You have to start to get respect and watch yourself or something to that effect. So the circumstances do make a difference. Now, what do we do about that? Is there somewhere these people should be able to turn to when they need only hands up to get where they need to be able to be independent again and do things on their own? Are they willing to accept that as just that hands up as opposed to keep reaching out for the hands out? What part of responsibility do we place on these people? Because everybody, we could feel sorry for people, you know. We could look at that bleeding heart aspect of it, but then we have to also be honest with ourselves.
I
When you
have
listen to the radio, it's like a profession. I'm a single mother and I got 3 picnic and I need help and so on. It's become a profession and an excuse.
I have
You know?
visited almost every homes in the city.
All
The
right,
10,
guys.
I used to be there for the 10 division, visiting because that's what I had to do. And I would
Hi.
see it. My guess estimate is that the majority of our fathers, I believe, were doing a good job, and the mothers. We tend to sometimes look at the south side as if the south
Different.
side is the problem for the city, and the north side is the more decent, dignified families. That is not necessarily true. I have seen families on the south side of this city who are good models, good role models for fathers and mothers. And I said to Dure one time when he invited me to meet with some of the guys them who were held in that SOE, that perhaps we should try to look right within the community for role models. Look to some of our own fathers and mothers in that community and try to see how we can link them up with other fathers and mothers. Sometimes that is the way you will learn best. So when I think about what can be done with our taxpayers' money through the state or the city council, is to see how we can make programs, take up programs. And I keep saying to you, Mr. Chairman, the silent revolution is an example that should have been followed by others. So why is it that a city council or a national government cannot develop programs?
Well,
Let's take a part of the city, just like when you do the SOE, and say, boy, they're not the problem area. So we are cordon this after one and the other SOE. Why we not take the same areas and use it as part of a pilot project to see what we can do to transform those people?
Yeah.
what we
You know,
need, we need is a long plan as opposed to the knee-jerk reactions. Kind of
That's what
that's
most
I'm
of
correct.
what
talking
we get.
about. That's
Go,
what
go
I'm
ahead, Greg.
Okay.
And that is one of the reasons we talk about those that young girl, and that is one of the reasons why that the stepfather molesting, why I believe that the contraceptive should not be denied or made difficult, so that so that people can get those and stop creating a worse problem. We make things more difficult that we shouldn't. Any woman that needs contraceptive should be able to get it as easily as possible. I'm not against necessarily having a doctor's prescription to get it, because that helps the individual to determine what type of contraceptive is most appropriate for their body and their health condition. But it comes back to those some of those very same issues that we just want to rely on what the Bible says or what our church doctrine is to make these type of national and human community type of decision. We cannot, and it's not saying you're allowing promiscuity to make those um, family planning decisions available.
So, in other words, Mr. Morrison, let's come back to the context. That mother should have told the stepfather, it's all right for you to do what you're doing with my daughter, but at
No,
least
no,
you
no, no, no. I'm
But
not
make,
saying
but
that.
make it get contraceptive. Just make sure you get contraceptive.
That's not. No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not. I just wanted to bring up the issue that these things are happening. That he's molesting his stepdaughter. That it is her responsibility to actually report her to the police and to the DPP. But I'm saying these are situations and these are the life experiences that that means that we shouldn't be restricting because we get a greater unintended consequence from the action of people acting out in a sexual way.
You know,
The problem with that woman, she prioritized her financial security over her daughter's safety,
right.
security. That's what she
But on
did.
this our apartheid, Jeremy, I believe we have gone down an immoral path. And this is an apartheid that I think we have to really look at. That I wonder about people now, how easily they do wrong things. Like, for instance, the killings that go on. How easily people could just pick up and go and take somebody's life. There's something about that's so wrong, and it's not natural. It's not natural for human beings to act that way. When they go out there and just steal what they can, they can because they see it and they want it, they will take it, even though they're not for them. That shows that somewhere down the line from early, they weren't getting the proper guidance. We were always told it enough for you, no touch it. We get to the point where we find a thief something, they will burn their fingers on the hot stove. I don't. It's cruel, but and I think our problem with this generation, if we have overcompensated. In other words, we want so hard to let our children not go through what we go through, not understanding that we need to go through that, and maybe children need to go through such strong. Authorities made us stern stuff. You have to be stern and steadfast when you're getting points across that are so integral to good living and good life.
But would you be using that analogical way that if you are poor, make sure your children are poor too so they experience the same thing?
Well, that ridiculous, Joe. That I
Okay.
can't believe you.
All right, good, good. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's absurd. No, no. In fact, the thing is that where no one I got you, and well, but the point is that you know one I got the kind of hardship you had. I don't want my child have to go to the pipe for water, like I say, or but 10, 12 I would share one meal. I don't want that, but I also don't want him to be feel like it's okay to just do what I want to hurt somebody. So even it's as little as making sure they don't kill everything when they see. I can't leave one in the park, used to call and kill it. Everything he said, kill it. You see a lizard run on the street, kill it. So just everything, the bird then come, kill it. I mean,
Would you
why?
agree then, Mr. Chairman, at the early age, let's say the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 age,
The
don't
formative
you
years.
think that's the period when parents should be indoctrinating their children?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. That when I know mothers who speak to their babies while they're in the womb. These are mothers that are concerned about their children coming up to be good human beings, and that's at the bottom line. Not productive as far as bringing money for you and giving, but being a good person, regardless of what kind of life you live. Being a good person is all that is necessary. With the wind down, what else we're supposed to cover? Penna. Penna was arrested, well, not arrested, detained. Did you hear that, Gregory?
I
No,
read
I
that.
didn't.
Yeah, he had some explosives, the BDF, and we find out now that he bought land in the BDF practice range. So now
Hmm.
he's saying the BDF is trespassing on his land. Because they go in and this is really it is funny because
Yeah, yeah,
you have a practice range for the BDF now. How the
yeah,
hell BDF can trespass by anybody land like that? On piece of land
yeah,
back there where I don't even know that it's being used.
yeah.
So that one situation and Penna again name comes up, and he's arrogant. Can't I hear him respond to things really arrogant? Jerome Strand says it's a good discussion of crime in Belize. Over a week ago, I was writing a critique of Horace Palacios from Belize News breaking. View of Belize's gang problem and its focus on root causes, structural factors. Theories like Travis Hirsch's social control theory of crime and social disorganization theory go a long way in helping to explain serious crime in Belize. Um, yes, Jerome, and I believe you meant you were reading his writing, but I think a big part of the problem is that we spend a lot of time explaining the situation, diagnosing the situation, and looking at the situation, but the solution does not seem to be as important to us as knowing what is going on wrong. We need to know how we're going to fix what is going wrong. Gentlemen, it's 9 o'clock. Anything anybody may want to say before we go and cover before? And then two of us seem to be going quite quickly these days, and I like it.
Yeah. Well, I
I
just wanted to mention my condolences to Mrs. Tox, Tox Fried Chicken. She passed away yesterday.
Okay.
So
She was
that's
the
my
wife of Tux, no?
wife
Yeah.
of wife of Mr. Tox, who was on the Chicken Man, Fried Chicken Man. Yeah.
Let me.
I'd like to take the opportunity to, Lord, you mentioned that to offer the condolence to Dr. Sylvia Catus.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
she died.
Oh
right?
yes, Sylvia. Yes, Sylvia.
I think that she was no doubt a great contributor to education in this country.
Yes.
Yeah, at Galen University, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
And Oscar
And you,
Salazar today, he passed away
And
today.
we also lost a pediatrician, right?
That
yeah,
was
yeah, Dr. Eck.
And
And we also lost a journalist.
and a journalist. That's
It-
right, a great
it-
journalist. I
Yeah.
must. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a great journalist.
Who you say passed away on Jeremy?
a gentleman called Oscar Salazar.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him, but
He used to work at the airline.
yes, that's right.
Yeah, I know Oscar. I didn't know he died. Oh,
Okay. See why you got a poster for the lady that's trying to raise some funds for assisting with a medical problem that she has. This lady, I started out the show talking about her. She's from Esperanza. She works with the children of Esperanza. She's always involved with our events in the park. She takes her team of football boys. She works with the kids. Got a couple of teams that she travels with and takes to different places. She needs some help. I'm thinking about doing a barbecue fundraiser for her to try to assist her in that. So I'll talk about that next week for once the plans are made. No, fellas, thanks a lot for the time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that lady had a right indeed that we give whatever support. I would definitely be participating because you mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
People like those, I think we have to come forward from it.
Well, listen. When I needed my assistance with my operation, I got lots of help. So in something like that, I can do. The only thing I can do is the best I can to help her. No.
Yes, man, you have my support there.
And we'll do that. So you'll know for sure. We'll let you know. Greg, take care.
Yes, sir.
How's the
Thank
weather
you.
out there now?
It's nice and cool, and this week I think we have our Memorial Day.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So
Memorial Day is what that's May the 24th, right?
yes,
Wait.
I think it's the 24th or 25th. It's Monday.
Okay. Yes. Is that a holiday in Belize?
No,
No, I think you
he had ours
guys
already.
You had yours already. Yeah.
Right.
Yours was
right.
May 1st.
And I don't think May 1st was our Labor Day. Your Labor Day is in September.
Oh, Labor Day.
We also
Yeah.
had Queen Victoria Day one
Oh,
time,
that
wasn't
was
it?
your Labor Day. Okay.
May 24th. May the 4th.
Yours
May
is in
24th was a
April, then, I think.
holiday. It was
Yeah, I think yours
Commonwealth
is
Day.
April April is your Memorial Day, I think.
I think we had a Commonwealth Day, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we had Commonwealth Day on that day.
Yeah,
We used to celebrate May the 24th. It used to be Queen Victoria's birthday, actually. And I remember we
Queen's birthday,
celebrated that for a while, yeah. But anyway, listen, guys, I'll see you next week, same time, same place. CY, we're done here.
All right. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night.
Easy squeeze, make no riot. So they make noise easy. See CY alongside Wavy and my boy, YG. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Music down noise, gun and toys. Some boy me telling us you no must realize. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is strange. Some your lyrics that I forget rearrange. You don't be money get that hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to this song so bitter? You get opportunity with that responsibility to you reality. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Violence prevention, that with the mention. Why you have to spit with so much bad intention? So I must say it, so shall it be. What's the seed far close to the tree? You know say retire of the negativity. Plus you stay the complete. Even though you have dollars, they fall like rain. Still want drive in another man lane. No shit. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Easy squeeze, make no riot. So they make noise easy. CY alongside Wavy and my boy, YG. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Music down noise, gun and toys. Some boy me telling us you no must realize. Whole globe done change. Watch me like the words out of my mouth is strange. Some your lyrics that I forget rearrange. You don't be money get that hotter than pepper when you sing. Why you have to this song so bitter? You get opportunity with that responsibility to you reality. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Me no need no gimme for to make the lyrics public. Me no need no fire pan, no stick, make it ball like a weight. Gonna jump up in the air, some boy beware. We fling bout lyrics like fear. Violence prevention, that with the mention. Why you have to spit with so much bad intention? So I'm on.
One thing, you could have never disrupt Jaja plan. You ever say? And you could never underestimate the heart of a champion. Do you remember when you treat me like a pig inside a pen? Now we don't blow up like Big Ben. You don't remember back then? No, you don't remember when you holla say me and you no friend. But how you don't have a dime feeling? No, you don't remember back then. Now things get bright up, me notice you and your friend and they show up, they talk about how you know me from dress up. You have no idea how we grew up, food early the morning. We swim up on the way back down coconut, get ups up, pipe water left in the sun, we get warm up, then we get fresh up green.
Across the world, we're hunting down the killers, one by one. We are winning. And we're showing them that definition of American
The
justice.
American dream. Living the American dream. It's so hard when your dream crash. Try to make a better life and it's so hard. Some leave the family behind just to chase some riches. Stuck at the border for months just to say they make it. But the American dream is not for you and me. They judge you on your past and that's a tragedy. Because I speak my mind and I say what's true. They say they want to burn the tree so they kill the root. But the American justice, the bigger scheme. They take your mind, break your heart and they crush your dream.
Ride as we flow. Jim out the jewel. I'll have your trainer throwing in the tower. Lineage, Masonic, without the thrower. I'm highly decorated like the Tinker. Dot from a pencil. As we flow. The dot from a pencil. That's the whole big my circle. I would rather be Jaja than to be a disciple. But you can't trust Judas. How the fuck you want to trust people? Get them 1 inch and they want squeeze you until you stand purple. Rhythm chart. Yeah. Let them honest. King K, let them honest. If you no fit, then no force it. Stop to put your cap where you can't reach it. Ray, I no mean it. Holla say the bad man never did squeeze it. If you no fit, then no force it. Stop to put your cap where you can't reach it. Ray, I no mean it. Holla say the bad man never did squeeze it. Fool please, you cannot see the forest because of the trees. You're keeping this thing at 100 degrees. Moving like the cartel straight to Belize. With ease, without the rub, without the tease. You don't want to play around with the cheese. You won't have to add interest by the fees. No.
Right now, chilling like Dylan, though, feeling on the Ave in my woo-woo. Slipping into darkness with nothing to do. Mindless from choking, from smoking the woo-woo. Stop, I got to get the bottle of woo-woo. This food bumped into me, started with his burr. Talking outside of his neck, he said, fuck you. Ain't that much fucking his sex.